Soudard, suivez l'engin, Soudard. Will, à part main.
Hey! Il nous a suivis!
Entrez, Soudard, suivez l'artillerie. Suivez l'engin. Avant, allons.
Bore down on the formidable walls of Rouen, ready to launch their final assault on this key English stronghold. Rouen walls were breached. The French army had at last exposed the heart of the fortress. Having lost the walls of Rouen, the English made a last stand to hold the city. The French would need to destroy the buildings that had housed the English army and drive out the enemy for good. With the English scattered and their buildings in ashes, the French had recaptured the critical fortress of Rouen. Charles VII had proven that France was no longer the underdog in the 100 Years' War. After decades of bloody dispute, Normandy was finally back in French hands. thanks to the explosive force of cannon fire, the French were close to victory in this century-long war. But in a final grasp at power, the English dispatched a fresh army, equipped with their tried and tested longbows. Formigny would be a trial of old versus new, to determine the fate of France. English commander Sir Thomas Kyriel sent a large expedition to crush the French in Normandy. The village of Carentan was directly in their path. Massively outnumbered, the French skirmishers near Carentan would give their lives to weaken the English. Though they fought bravely, the French skirmishers could only slow the English advance. The main body of the French army finally arrived in the river valley. The French now needed to locate and destroy the English army. But they would face a well-entrenched enemy with several local garrisons. The French destroyed the garrison at Riekebeek.
Mesnil. J'y sera fait selon votre commandement. Votre instinct est bien fait.
French forces found a detachment of the English army attacking the town of Vallon. If they could stop the attack, they might gain valuable resources. With the English attack on Valognes halted, the citizens moved to support the French army.
Paix, nous avons des commandements.
Nous délaissons ces milieux. Voyez bien, fais ici les commandes de... Je vais devant, les deux derrière. En avant, reste tous en Mesnil. Diego vous oui. Ainsi soit fait. Allons plus que le pas. Je fais votre commandement. Délaissons ces milieux. En avant, reste tous en Mesnil. Ici sera fait selon votre commandement. Je vais devant, les deux derrière. Diego sera
The English base at Saint-Sauveur fell to the French forces, but the enemy army was still at large.
Si ça rappelle selon votre commandement. Votre instinct est bien clair. Je fais votre commandement. Votre instinct est bien clair. Allons plus que le pas. Ainsi soit fait. Je fais votre... J'attends les commandements. Envoyez-vous à la bataille. Nous attendons les commandements. La gloire est pour moi. Je fais votre commandement. Allons plus que le pas. En avant, reste tous en Mesnil. Votre instinct est bien clair. Je vais devant, brisez derrière. Délaissons ces milieux.
The French forces located Kirill's English army at a river crossing near the town of Formigny. Several of the Bureau brothers' heavy guns and other forces arrived to help.
Sécurez l'engin de siège. Envoyez. Suivez l'engin, soudain. Ainsi soit-il. Suivez l'engin. Avant, allons. Ainsi sera fait. À tout est ordonné. C'est quasi assouvi.
Even with their cannons, the French faced the difficult task of engaging the well-positioned English army.
Point de faille, votre retrait. Point de faille, votre retrait.
The French attacks succeeded in drawing the English front line out of position and across the river. Suffering losses, the English front line retreated back across the river.
Sécurez l'engin de siège. Envoyez. Envoyez, soudain. Suivez l'artillerie.
The French received word that their Breton allies had arrived with their knights and horsemen. Now the two armies could coordinate. Beset by the French, the English beat a hasty retreat toward Formigny. The English survivors entered Formigny. The French would have to take this town to secure victory.
Nos accomplissions vos ordonnances.
With the last English army destroyed and the gates of Formigny thrown open, the French force in Normandy was victorious. Their well-organized forces and superior firepower had brought the arduous 100 Years' War closer to its conclusion. At Formigny, the roar of cannon fire sounded the death knell for England's ambitions in France. King Charles and the Bureau brothers did not let up on the offensive, and in 1453, the English retreated across the Channel. France was finally at peace. More than 100 years had passed since the first English chevauchés had scorched the land. The iconic French knights who fought in those early days would not have recognized their own military a century later. The English longbow, once the scourge of France, was no match for French artillery in the last years of the war. And by 1453, France's border looked very different, growing to encompass territories once claimed by England and their allies. After enduring a century of conflict, France emerged as a transformed nation. The country and its people had persevered and unified into a kingdom that could defend itself. Against all odds, France had won the 100 Years' War. From the vast reaches of the Mongolian steppe, an army of over 100,000 men swept aside all resistance, claiming territories that spanned continents. Their leader, Genghis Khan, proclaimed his life's ambition was to unite the world under one empire. Having conquered the East, the Mongols turned their attention to the West, where they would come face to face with some of the greatest armies of medieval Europe. Would Genghis Khan's legendary warriors finally meet their match? By 1221, the Mongols had taken cities throughout Asia, generating vast amounts of tribute from those they conquered. The West, however, was still an untapped resource. Genghis Khan sent his trusted generals, Jebei and Subutai, to attack Europe. With an army of 20,000, Jebei and Subutai took the West by surprise, raiding cities and destroying armies. Within 2 years, they had the prosperous Rus territories in their sights. But in their way was a Rus army of over 40,000 men. Outnumbered, Jebei and Subutai turned and started to head back east. The Rus sensed an easy victory and set off in pursuit of their retreating enemies. For 8 days, the fast-moving Mongols stayed just out of reach. Then, Jebei and Subutai set their trap. They lured the Rus across the Kalka River and turned to fight. The Rus had fallen for one of the Mongols' most effective tactics, the feigned retreat. The stage was set for the Mongol army to test themselves against Europe's finest. The Mongols charged across the European plains, with the fatigued Rus army in close pursuit. The Rus had fallen for the Mongol tactic of the feigned retreat, and unknowingly followed them into peril. The Mongol general sprung his trap on the enemy scouts. With the Rus scouts cut down, General Subutai crossed the Kalka River. Here, he would stage a full-scale ambush on the vast Rus army. Subutai directed his warriors to split up and lie in wait for the enemy. For Subutai's strategy to be effective, he needed to spring his trap before the Rus recovered from their long pursuit. He sent his most fearsome Mangudai horse archers to draw the Rus quickly towards the ambush site. These highly skilled warriors could fire their bows rapidly while riding at speed. The Mongol provocation was effective, and the Rus hastily pursued. The Rus army had fallen for the feigned retreat and rode straight into the Mongol ambush. With the enemy surrounded, Subutai's battle-ready warriors descended from all sides. The Mongol ambush was devastating, and Rus numbers were reduced to a few desperate stragglers. Seeing the fate of their comrades, the last Rus encircled themselves in a makeshift fort of baggage carts. The Rus stockade fell. Despite a valiant last stand, the remnants of the Rus army were cut down. Spurred on by the crushing victory at the Kalka River, the Mongols advanced ever further into the heartland of the Rus. On the banks of the Kalka River, thousands of Rus were killed by the Mongols. The hunters had become the hunted. But in the years leading up to this Mongol raid in the west, Genghis Khan had been focusing his attacks on the east and the Qin dynasty of northern China. Controlling wealthy lands and trade routes, Qin cities overflowed with riches. In 1210, the Qin's new ruler, seeing Genghis Khan as a threat, demanded that he swear loyalty to him. Genghis Khan refused. To the Qin, this defiance was a declaration of war. The Qin had a huge army, and their territory was protected by vast fortifications, known today as the Great Wall. The Mongols had never faced a more formidable enemy. Genghis Khan knew the only way to defeat the Qin would be to take their heavily defended capital city, Zhongdu, on the other side of the Great Wall. Genghis Khan would be committing his people to a long, hard war. Would the rewards be worth the cost? For answers, he looked to the gods. Climbing a sacred mountain, he prayed to the eternal sky. After 4 days, he received his answer. The Mongols would be victorious. With divine reassurance, the Mongol army set out across the steppe. They must break through the Great Wall to destroy the Qin dynasty and further expand the Mongol Empire. The Qin fortress of Shangjaku blocked Genghis Khan's path to the Great Wall. Seeing the strength of the defenses at the front of the fortress, Genghis Khan dispatched his scouts to seek out an alternate approach. Mongol warfare relied heavily on the mobility of mounted scouts. They could travel at high speed, explore the terrain, and gather information on enemy weaknesses. The Khan's swift riders advanced up the steep mountain, discovering a hidden path above the Qin fortress. The Qin had deployed patrols on the mountain above their fortress, but the Mongol scouts, although isolated from their army, had the advantage of speed. The Mongol riders discovered an embankment leading to the back of the fortress. Here they found far fewer Qin defenses than at the front. Learning of the weak defenses at the back of the fortress, Genghis Khan saw his opportunity to attack. The Mongols began their ride to battle. the Mongols took the fortress, they could freely advance on the Great Wall. The Mongols burned the enemy building, claiming valuable spoils from the ruins. The Mongols sacked the fortress of Zhangjiakou, ensuring that they would not be attacked from behind as they advanced on the Great Wall. With the Qin fortress posing no further threat, Genghis Khan called on his people to bring in their mobile camp. Next, the Mongols needed a base close to the Great Wall. They targeted the Qin village of Yangcheng.
Inaro! Sforzo!
Verso!
Хүлээж байна уу? Verso! Wild! Барьж байна уу?
산으로 넣고 젠티기 단속 Bastante muito gol!